Hi, I'm Shauna, 35, and I thought hosting a simple backyard family barbecue would be the most stressful part of my weekend. Then my sister grabbed a mic, called my husband a wannabe wife, and told everyone he wasn't a real man because he stays home with our daughter, right in front of our entire family. It started as a sunny Saturday in June, one of those rare days when nobody had an excuse. We were all together for once, cousins, aunts, uncles, my parents, my sister Julia, and even Grandma, who usually boycotts anything involving lawn chairs. My husband, Derek, had spent the morning slow-smoking ribs like it was a competition show, and our daughter Lily was running barefoot through the grass in a flower crown she made herself. Everything was damn near perfect. Julia showed up last, dragging her twins behind her like a defeated parade float. Her mood clouded the air before she even said hello. I could already feel it, this was going to be one of those days. Now, let me explain something. Derek is not just my husband. He's also the stay-at-home parent in our relationship. 5 years ago, he turned his tiny gaming YouTube channel into something legit. The man built a brand, racked up sponsors, got flown out to conventions. He also does school pickups, packs bento lunches like a wizard, and somehow always remembers when Lily's library books are due. Me? I'm a nurse. I work crazy hours, I miss weekends, I live on cold coffee and adrenaline. Our setup works. We are happy. But Julia has always been weird about Derek. She thinks he's soft. Thinks he's too feminine. Thinks he should be wearing pants and swinging a hammer or whatever outdated nonsense she picked up from a 90s sitcom. Never mind the fact that her own ex ghosted her when she got pregnant with twins and hasn't paid a dime in child support. But sure, let's judge the guy who's changing diapers and paying your rent. Anyway, it was during dessert, brownies, fresh out the oven, when Julia got a little too cozy with the sangria. She'd been eyeing Derek all afternoon like he was some odd specimen in a lab. Then, as I was loading the dishwasher inside, I heard her say it. Can we just be real for a second? Derek's not even a real man. He's like a glorified babysitter. Who makes YouTube videos? It's basically adult daycare. The air went still. My cousin Ben literally choked on his lemonade. And Derek? He just smiled that polite, tight smile he wears when someone calls him cute for folding laundry. But Julia wasn't done. I mean, Sean's out there saving lives and Derek's what, streaming Mario Kart? No offense, but it's kinda pathetic. That's when I walked back outside. And that's when everything blew up. I stepped onto the patio just in time to hear Julia finish her masterpiece of a monologue. Honestly, I don't know how you're not embarrassed, Sean. Your husband's like a housewife with a webcam. I froze. Every conversation died mid-sentence. Someone dropped a fork. Derek was sitting perfectly still in the lawn chair, one hand resting lightly on Lily's back as she colored with chalk on the stones. He didn't look angry. He looked humiliated. I walked over slowly, like my legs were moving through molasses. Julia, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear, what the hell did you just say? She blinked at me, eyes glassy from the alcohol but smug as ever. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Come on, Shauna. Don't tell me you haven't ever wished you had a real partner. One who brings home an actual paycheck instead of sticker charts and likes on Twitch. My jaw locked. First of all, it's YouTube. He doesn't stream on Twitch, and he makes more in 1 month than you've made in the past 2 years. That made a few heads turn. Second of all, do you have any idea how many times he paid your rent? Paid for your car when your credit was in the toilet? Babysat your kids so you could go job hunting, or more often, sit at a bar and cry about your ex. Julia scoffed. Oh please. That was you helping me. No, I snapped. It was him. Always him. You know what I was doing when you called crying at 2 a.m.? I was on shift in the ER. He was the one answering the phone. He was the one Venmoing you grocery money. And he never even mentioned it. I could feel Derek watching me now. I didn't look at him. I didn't want to see how much of this was hurting him. Julia rolled her eyes and muttered, still doesn't make him a man. That's when my dad stood up. My dad, who once called Derek the Marshmallow Man because he didn't know how to change a tire. My dad, who still uses cash and thinks Wi-Fi is a conspiracy. He put down his beer, looked Julia dead in the face, and said, You know, I thought that too. At first. But I've seen a lot of men in my life, and none of them have shown up for their family the way Derek has. So maybe you're the one who doesn't know what a man is. Julia's jaw dropped like she'd been slapped. The whole yard went quiet again, except for Lily humming softly as she drew a pink unicorn. And me? I felt something shift in my chest. Something that was about to erupt. I took one look at Derek, at the way he was quietly stroking Lily's hair to keep himself calm, and I just lost it. You know what, Julia? Let's do this. Let's just air it out right here, since you want to humiliate my husband in front of everyone. Julia blinked, surprised that I was actually going full nuclear. But I was done. I stepped onto the center of the patio like it was my courtroom and I was about to prosecute the hell out of her. Let's talk about how womanly Derek is, shall we? He wakes up at 6 a.m. every day to pack lunches, yours included, remember that? He's been editing videos at 2 a.m. just to hit upload deadlines and still makes Lily's pancakes into animal shapes every single morning. He's the reason we have 2 fully paid cars, a 6-figure savings account, and a Disney Plus subscription that you mooch off of. People were already whispering. Let's also talk about how when you were crying in your car last December because your gas got shut off, he was the one who paid the bill. Quietly. Without shaming you. Without broadcasting it. He just did it. Julia was looking red now. Visibly uncomfortable. But I wasn't even close to done. And what did he get in return? You showing up here calling him a fake man because he doesn't punch a time card? Newsflash, raising a child full-time and building an online brand is not woman's work. It's damn near superhuman. And while we're at it, let's not forget the guy you did think was a real man, your ex. You know, the one who ghosted you the second he found out you were having twins. Real manly of him, huh? Julia shot to her feet like she was ready to fight, but I wasn't finished. No. Sit down. You came here to be fed, not featured. You think you're better than Derek because he doesn't act like a man? Well, I hate to break it to you, Julia, but he's more of a man than your ex, more of a man than half this backyard combined, and definitely more of a parent than you've been lately. A hush fell over everyone. Even the birds had stopped chirping. Lily looked up at me, wide-eyed, holding a chalk drawing of our family with Derek in the center, wearing a little crown. And that's when Derek stood up. Calm. Composed. His voice steady. I appreciate you saying all that, Sean. I really do, he said, eyes on Julia now. But let me be clear about something. This is the last time you ever get to disrespect me and still expect anything from us. I'm done. Julia's mouth opened. Then closed. Then opened again. But Derek wasn't done. You can call me whatever you want. Housewife. Babysitter. Girl. But the difference between you and me is, I show up. For my family. For your kids. Even for you. And you show up to insult the very people who've kept you afloat. He turned, picked Lily up, and carried her back inside without another word. Julia just stood there, trembling, eyes bouncing between me and the door like she was waiting for someone, anyone, to defend her. But no one moved. Not even Grandma. Julia finally sat back down like the chair pulled her into it. Her kids, bless them, were off in the corner picking dandelions like nothing had happened. But everyone else? Frozen. Sipping drinks without tasting them. Avoiding eye contact like we'd all just witnessed a car crash in slow motion. I didn't say anything else. I just went inside and found Derek standing at the sink, washing blueberries for Lily like it was any normal Tuesday. I'm sorry, I said quietly. He gave me a tired smile. You didn't do anything wrong. I let it happen too long. I should have shut her down the first time she made those jokes. He shrugged. You always hoped she'd grow out of it. That she'd realize not every guy needs to wear a suit and shout at spreadsheets to be worth something. Lily walked in then, holding her chalk drawing. Daddy, I drew you as a king. Derek took the picture, grinning. I love it, baby. I hugged him from behind, wrapping my arms around his chest and resting my head between his shoulder blades. You are a king. Screw what anyone says. Outside, I could hear the sounds of people shuffling awkwardly, murmuring. The barbecue wasn't quite over, but the vibe had clearly flatlined. I peeked through the blinds to see my mom pulling Julia aside near the fence. My mom looked livid. I couldn't hear everything, but I saw the finger pointing. The hand on hip, pursed lips, full Italian mom scolding that meant she wasn't just mad, she was disappointed. My dad, meanwhile, was clearing plates with the intensity of a man trying not to commit a felony. Everyone else looked like they were just waiting for permission to leave without being rude. A few minutes later, Julia stormed out the gate, dragging her twins behind her and not saying a word. No goodbyes. No apology. Just, gone. And you know what? Not a single soul followed her. Later that night, my mom called me. Just wanted to say we're proud of you, she said. Both of you. You and Derek are doing it right. Don't let her bitterness drag you down. I wanted to thank her, but I couldn't get the words out. My throat was tight. That whole day had taken something out of me. Because deep down, there was still that old, familiar guilt. The one that says, but she's still your sister. That annoying, whispering voice that tries to make you feel like the bad guy for enforcing boundaries. I turned to Derek in bed and said, what if she calls tomorrow? What if she apologizes? He didn't even hesitate. Then she apologizes. Doesn't mean we open the door again. And that was that. But the storm wasn't over. It was just gathering in the distance. 3 days later, Julia texted me at 2:17 a.m. Can we talk? No apology. No explanation. Just those 4 words. I stared at it in the dark, lying in bed next to Derek, who was asleep with his hand resting gently over Lily's tiny foot. She'd crawled in during a thunderstorm and never left. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to, but because I knew if I cracked the door open even a little, Julia would push her whole damn baggage cart through it. And I wasn't ready. Not after everything. The next morning, my phone pinged again. So you're just gonna ignore me? Ah, there she was. The Julia I knew. Whiplash emotional ping-pong served hot. By noon, I got a string of texts that ranged from pitiful to accusatory. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I didn't mean it like that. You always take his side. This is why Dad likes him more than me. And finally, I'm struggling, Sean. The twins are eating toast for dinner. I can't afford groceries. But yeah, your little YouTube prince is more important than your own sister. Derek read over my shoulder. Toast for dinner, he muttered. That's rich. She still owes me $200 for the Uber to her last job interview. I sighed, put my phone down, and tried to focus on folding laundry. But guilt has a way of threading itself through socks and baby onesies until it chokes you. By that evening, she called. I didn't pick up. Then she called again. Then from a different number. Then she showed up. Yep. Right on our porch, 8:45 p.m., mascara smudged and holding a bag of groceries. I don't want money, she said immediately. I need help. Please. I opened the door, slowly. Derek stayed just behind me. I brought food for the kids. I know I screwed up. But I didn't know what else to do. She wasn't yelling now. She wasn't smug. She looked, honestly, wrecked. Her twins were in the car, sleeping in booster seats. One of them was holding a McDonald's toy like a teddy bear. Where are you staying? I asked. She hesitated. I've been couch hopping. My friend kicked me out last night. I just need a few nights. Just until Friday. Please. Derek crossed his arms. You still haven't said sorry. She looked at him. Not me. Him. I'm sorry, she said, eyes glassy. I was jealous. I thought I was better than you because you didn't work a real job. But the truth is, I was just mad that you were everything my ex wasn't. You stayed. You supported. You built something. I had to watch my kids fall asleep crying because their dad bailed. And then there you were, perfect and present and raising a daughter like a pro, and I just snapped. She wiped her nose. I was cruel. And you didn't deserve that. Derek didn't say anything. He just looked at me. My heart was doing somersaults. My head said lock the door. My gut said hug her. My trauma said run. And my mouth? My mouth said, you can sleep in the guest room. 2 nights. Then you find somewhere else. Julia nodded, eyes wide with disbelief. But Derek? He was already pulling out the spare sheets. Julia stayed 2 nights. The first night was quiet. She tucked her kids into the guest room like she was tiptoeing through someone else's life, which, to be fair, she was. I caught her standing in the hallway later, staring at our family photos on the wall. Derek in a paper crown Lily made for Father's Day. Me wearing scrubs and holding a squirmy toddler who'd smeared yogurt in my hair. There was a look on Julia's face I hadn't seen in years. Regret. The second night, she cooked dinner. It was spaghetti, kind of burned, and the garlic bread looked like it had fought in a small war, but she tried. She really tried. She even helped Lily with her math homework, which is wild, considering Julia once failed pre-algebra twice in high school. Derek kept things polite. Not warm. Not cold. Just civil. He made Lily laugh during dinner. He offered Julia's twins extra chocolate milk without making a big deal. And when Julia started crying over dishes, quietly at the sink, he handed her a towel and walked away. No pity. No lecture. Just dignity. After the kids were in bed, Julia sat down with me on the porch. She was bundled in Derek's old hoodie, an oversized one from when his channel hit 100K subscribers. She held a mug of tea like it was the last thing tethering her to earth. I can't go back to Mom and Dad's, she whispered. Dad's ready to throw me out. Mom's afraid to leave me alone with the kids. I didn't say anything. She looked at me. Are they right? That broke something in me. For years, Julia had played the confident wreck, always loud, always deflecting. This was the first time I saw her genuinely scared of herself. I think you need help, Jules, I said gently. Real help. Not a borrowed couch. Not another side hustle. You need a therapist. A support system. Maybe even a program. She nodded slowly, her lips quivering. I know. I've been drinking too much. I yell at the twins. I'm tired all the time. I thought I was just surviving, but I think I'm ruining them. I reached over and grabbed her hand. You're not beyond saving. But you have to want to fix this. Not for me. Not for Derek. For them. I do, she whispered. I just don't know how. The next morning, before she left, Derek printed out a list. Women's shelters. Counseling centers. Recovery groups. Food banks. Job placement resources. It was organized, highlighted, and paper-clipped. He didn't say much, just handed her the stack and said, "Start here." Julia cried. She left that afternoon. Not with bitterness. Not in shame. But with something close to hope. And I thought maybe, we were finally turning a corner. But corners, it turns out, can be sharp. 2 weeks passed. For a while, it was quiet. Almost too quiet. No texts from Julia. No surprise appearances. No cryptic family group chat messages. I kept waiting for the chaos to boomerang back, but nothing. Then, on a random Tuesday, I got a call from my mom. Your sister's in the hospital. My stomach dropped like a stone. She's okay now, Mom rushed to say. It wasn't that serious. But she collapsed at work. Dehydration. Exhaustion. Probably hadn't eaten in 2 days. Apparently, Julia had picked up 3 part-time jobs to stay afloat, none of them consistent, all of them miserable. She was trying, clawing her way toward stability, but she was doing it alone. Pride and shame kept her from asking for help. She didn't even want me to call you, Mom added. But the twins were scared. They wanted to see you. I hung up, told my supervisor I had an emergency, and headed straight for the hospital. Derek texted me, "Go. I've got Lily. Take your time." When I arrived, Julia looked like a ghost of herself. Pale. Hooked up to fluids. Her hair was a mess and she smelled like fryer grease and stress. But when she saw me, she burst into tears. "I'm so tired, Sean," she sobbed. "I'm trying. I swear I'm trying." "I know," I said, sitting beside her. "But trying doesn't mean doing it alone." She cried harder. The hospital social worker came in a few minutes later. Turns out Derek had already called her, from home, just from hearing about the situation secondhand, and asked if Julia could be evaluated for outpatient support. They're getting her set up with a counselor, the social worker told me. And a case manager. It's a good step. I thanked her, then stepped out to find Julia's twins sitting in the waiting room, curled up in oversized chairs watching cartoons on a cracked iPad. They looked exhausted, but hopeful. They didn't say much. Just hugged me like they were afraid to let go. That night, Derek made dinner for all of us, mac and cheese, homemade, extra creamy the way the twins liked it. He didn't say a word about Julia, didn't ask questions, didn't gloat. Just cooked. Cleaned. Carried on. Later, when I tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at me and asked, "Is Aunt Julia gonna be okay?" I hesitated. Then I said, "I think she will. But it might take some time." Lily nodded. Daddy said broken people need glue. But not the regular kind. The people kind. I smiled. He's a smart man. She grinned. I know. That's why I gave him the crown. And just like that, my heart healed a little more. But healing isn't a straight line. And sometimes, before things get better, they break just one more time. A month passed. Julia was in therapy. She'd enrolled in a local outpatient program, had regular check-ins with a caseworker, and was finally receiving the kind of support she'd always needed but never had the courage, or humility, to ask for. She wasn't perfect. Not by a long shot. She still had moments where she texted me at 2 a.m. in an emotional spiral. She still slipped into defensive sarcasm when she felt cornered. But she was showing up. Every week. For her kids. For herself. For us. And most shockingly of all? For Derek. One Saturday morning, she showed up at our door. Not crying. Not drunk. Not dragging her kids like anchor weights behind her. She was holding a small box. Derek opened the door and blinked. Morning? I'm not here to stay, Julia said quickly, holding up a hand like she knew she had to disarm him right away. I wanted to return something. She handed him the box. Inside was a crumpled, slightly torn drawing Lily had made last year. A picture of our family, me, Derek, Lily, and Julia's twins all standing under a rainbow. Derek was in the center, wearing the crown. Julia had found it tucked into one of her old tote bags, probably shoved there after babysitting. I didn't know what to do with it at the time, she said softly. Back when I still thought I was too proud to need you guys. But lately, I've been looking at it a lot. And it's reminded me of what I almost destroyed. Derek stared at the drawing for a long moment. Then she added, I'm not asking you to forget everything. Or to let me move in. Or to bail me out again. I'm just saying, thank you. And I'm sorry. For all of it. He nodded, expression unreadable. Appreciate that. And that was it. No hug. No dramatic scene. Just an adult moment. A moment I never thought I'd see between them. Later that night, Derek and I sat on the couch after Lily had gone to bed. He held the drawing in his lap, smoothing out the creases with gentle fingers. You gonna frame it? I asked. Not yet, he said. But I might. We sat in silence for a bit, the soft hum of the dishwasher filling the room. Then I said something I hadn't dared to say aloud before. I think she's jealous of you. Derek chuckled, low and dry. Jealous of a man who gets screamed at by a 6-year-old for peeling her apple wrong? She's jealous because you're present, I said. Because you're consistent. Because you're the kind of parent her kids wish they had every day. Because you're the man she was told doesn't exist. He shrugged, still smoothing the paper. I'm not trying to prove anything. I know, I said. And that's what makes it so obvious. We didn't say anything after that. We didn't need to. A few weeks later, we got a surprise invitation. Julia wanted to host a family picnic. At a park. On her dime. My first thought was absolutely not. My second was okay, maybe just for the kids. And my third? That little voice that said you can't keep punishing someone who's trying to grow. So we went. It wasn't fancy. A few sandwiches. Store-brand juice boxes. Fold-out chairs that threatened to collapse if you sat wrong. But it was peaceful. Julia smiled. Real, not forced. her twins were dressed and clean. She even asked Derek, politely, if he could bring his famous pasta salad. He did. She introduced him to a few coworkers as her brother-in-law, who's kind of famous online, actually. No sarcasm. No backhanded dig. Just pride. After everyone had eaten, Lily dragged Derek away to help build a fairy house out of twigs. Julia sat beside me, watching them. You know, she said slowly, he really is a better dad than most of the guys I know. Yeah, I said. I know. Then she added, I don't think I hate myself as much when I'm not pretending to hate him. That one caught me off guard. I turned to her, but she didn't look at me. Just kept watching Derek and Lily. Maybe that's the trick, she said. Stop pretending you're too good for people who are just better. And then, quietly, I want to be better too. I squeezed her hand. That's the only thing you ever have to be. Since then, things haven't been perfect. Julia still stumbles. Still snaps sometimes. Still tries to fight the same battles she's been losing for years. But now she fights a little smarter. A little softer. And when she falls? She doesn't blame Derek. She thanks him. Because, somehow, the man she once mocked for being womanly turned out to be the very glue that held us all together. And I've stopped wishing she'd see that. Because now? She finally does.